So, good afternoon once again, and welcome to your class and research paper in agriculture. So, we last time we have discussed about the module one, which is about the introduction in and the different types of research paper. And now we're going to talk about the different parts of the research paper and how to write this one. So I hope you're going to check on the video. Um, I will be recording this and posting this for you to watch later. So I just had this copy from SlideShare. So this is about the research paper. So when we say research paper again, in the previous topics, we have discussed that the different types of research paper and the ways of communicating scientific results through different types of paper reports, such as for journal publications, for review papers, for newsletter, and so on. So, in college, also you have been asked to write many research papers, and you need to learn what goes into writing a successful paper. So, this PowerPoint presentation will help you to do the different types of topic, no? How to choose a topic, write a thesis or introduction, and understand about plagiarism and how to use parenthetical notations and different bibliography and proper format. So again, we have mentioned this previously that research comes from an old French word searcher, means to search, and re is for means to do it again, and they define as the intensive search with the purpose of becoming certain, or a systematic investigation into reality to gain knowledge. So what are the structure of the research paper? So again, I have mentioned this in the previous discussion that it has three main parts called the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And it contains the following elements. So for a final research or output, it, it should have an abstract, introduction, literature review, methods, result, discussion, conclusion, references, and appendices, or what we also called as the IMRAD of um, reporting or publication or writing research. So in this structure, like for an abstract, this will briefly introduce the reader to the aims of the study, the methodology, results, and findings. So I have given example attached in the next paper, or in the next topics, how to do the abstract, no, the real example. So of course, you have your objectives, your simple or simplified methods, and the results and major findings. And for the introduction, you state clear overall purpose for the study, no, often frame it in a discussion of the need for the research, no, and like for example, there has been a problem on Panama disease in bananas, so you conducted disease to find out effective controls using biocontrol agents or fungicides. So to and also define the research questions of the study, also give brief background of the relevant theory and practice for your topic. So the importance of banana and the importance of the disease. So for your literature review, it will summarize what conclusion had been reached in previous studies or research literature and whether different writers agree or not, and to highlight the main issue or controversies around the problem. So In fact, your literature review can also be um can also be um what do you call that? Can also be the review paper itself. So hi Ebson, no? So I just have anticipated to start while you're coming in, so we will finish early. So
Good
please,
afternoon, ma'am.
good afternoon. So nag-start na ho earlier. So
Sorry, ma'am.
I thought no one's coming, so nag-start na lang ko. So in case like this na like ikaw gihapon
Okay, ma'am.
wala gihapon kay maybe of some kakulian. So I just have a recorded video and for you to watch later. So
Thank you, ma'am.
I am now presenting to you the different structures of the research paper for you to write. So um, I'll just continue with this one. So how you going to, this is just to describe what are these different parts, no? The, last time I have mentioned this structure and the different elements. Now I'm going to clearly specify the uses of these parts, no? So in fact, yung gagawin ninyong publication is a review paper in the end. Because in this subject, perhaps you don't need to conduct a research, but then conduct an experimental research or a social research perhaps, but then you are supposed to publish a review paper. So ito yung review paper na sinasabi ko, no, sa in your exercise says 2. So wala man dari si Jory, but Jory has submitted a title already and a brief view of his review paper, but it's not enough, no. I'm still gonna comment it to him na a review paper is, no, although it's a very wide, in fact ang requirements nito ay at least 10 references, no. So at least na yan, so you should have 10 references or more, and these are actually summarized na, which highlight main issue and controversies around a problem. For example, I have made a research paper on like example lang ha. Um, dito kasi nilagay sa research reports, no. So this is a review an example of a review paper that you are going to make as your final output, no, in this subject. So in your literature review, you can also make one like a review on, this is for my own publication on the review on root cause processing for food security and health. So with me is my boss before in the University of the South Pacific, and this was published in the University's College Journal of the South Pacific Agriculture. So ayan, meron siyang konting abstract which discusses the world setting and the country setting, my keywords and then introduction and certain topics, no, like food security in the world and South Pacific. So there are proper, kung saan ko yan kinuha, there are proper references and citations like in FAO. Root crop in world and South Pacific, no? Root crop production, ayan. And if you notice, this is actually an 8-page review paper, nutritional value of root crops. So those are the certain topics under the review paper, the health benefits of root crops, no, and value adding and processing of root crops, and lastly the conclusion and references. So if you notice, I have a lot of references, in this publication. So you are going to do the same, and hopefully you'll be successful in doing this, because I know it's not really easy to do this. So please take note in your exercise 1, wala pa submit. No, only jury have submitted. You're going to choose an online journal and present what are their level, aims, scope, types, and so on. And sa quiz naman, and also for your exercise 2, you're going to...
Ma'am, asa i-submit, ma'am? Sa sa classroom?
Yes, i-turn in lang nimo. No, i-comment nimo dere and then turn in. Or pwede ra nimo i-send pud sa kuha sa chat.
Messenger, ma'am?
Yes. And for
Okay, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. Copy.
exercise, so before nato na i-accept nato, before nato na i-accept for publication, for ipasa nimo in these following links ang publication, no? So makatry mo sa pagpasa dere. So i-check pa nako na, no? So I will be your co-author for this, since I'm gonna paying the this one, the publication fees, which are only minimal. But I don't want you to cost anything from your part. So I'll be your co-author for that. And so yung final exam is actually a publish na a review paper in an online journal. So I will just we'll just go back here on your different requirements. So going back, so that is an example of a literature review or review of review paper example. So some methods naman, when you are going to conduct a research, that it will demonstrate that you are aware of the research methods. So that's why sabi ko sa inyo, it's better that you have done the research method subject before. But anyway, we have a topic, a chapter under this, which is research methods. Babe, abin ako nag-brand out. So this method will explain the method of how is the data collected and how did you analyze statistically. And then after you collect the data and analyze them through statistical tools, you need to have the result and present your findings of your research orderly, no? And using headings based on your methods, or like what I have shown you in the review paper, that like a review on root crops, no? Root crops processing. So may mga title nga pwedeng mga topics, no, or subtitles under that review paper. So just like what I have presented earlier. And then discussion are the comment on the trends and findings, yung interpretation on the statistical analysis. So it can show your understanding of what your data suggests and highlight anything unexpected that came up. So later, no, in the next presentation or session, I'm going to give you an example of these following elements. But for now, let's just proceed. Now, what are these top meaning or descriptions? For the conclusion naman, this sum up findings and highlight significance of the outcomes of your study, and to discuss the limitation of your study and indicate where further research is needed. So, Edson, nakakandak na ba ka og research before?
Wala pa, ma'am.
Wala pa. But I know nakahima na kag-research paper, of course, kasi lahat ng mga subject may mga research paper sa makahima na kag-research paper.
Kuan man gud, ma'am. Bali siguro, ma'am, kay wala na ako nadumduman, ma'am, ba kay katong Old student man gud ko ma'am, 10 years ago ma'am. Tapos nagundang ko, tapos balik ba ako eskwela karon ma'am, mao gani.
Okay, that's okay. So this is just
Thank you ma'am.
a thorough review anyway. So sa conclusion, usually these words will come out like based on the result of the study, it was found out that this chemical is very effective as control to like Panama disease, but research is um, another research or continuation of research is highly recommended using this treatment. Mga ganun na conclusion. And of course, your references is yung mga alphabetically arranged na mga authors or reference materials that have been cited in that text report. So the common mistakes is that when you make your review of literature, you don't write your references, no? So what happens is that makalimtan na nimo asa na tong mga reference nila, no? Um, so I strongly suggest when you do your research, you list down the references, no? Along with writing your review of literature. And sometimes we do the appendices to present relevant details such as letters to participants and organizations, like yung mga soil analysis, yung ginamit natin ng mga chemical analysis or others, no? Like sa sensory evaluation, you only attach the like yung mga survey questionnaire, you attach that on the appendices. And to present details of questionnaires, surveys, and other relevant instruments that you develop for the purpose of the study. And to present relevant documents such as reports, policy, or historical documents like yung procedure ng pag-analyze, no? So now how to write your abstract. So since this is a summary of body of information, it expresses the main claim and argument of a paper. So this will answer the following question. Why did you do the study or project? So you did this because there is a pandemic, for example, no? Or there is a uh, low production, for example. So you need to increase the production using different treatments of fertilizer or whatever soil conditioner. And what did you do and how? So it will also you will also mention your methods, no? Like you are you can you conducted this when, no, and where, and you use the completely randomized design, no, with 5 treatments replicated 3 times, and data were analyzed using an analysis of variance and so on and so on. And what did you find? Based on the result of the study, um, the highest yield was obtained with the application of foliar fertilizer, for example. And what do your findings mean? So it's a sort of conclusion, but some abstract do not actually conclude, no? Like it you just instead of saying that you recommend that the application of foliar fertilizer, so you rather say that um, application of foliar fertilizer would in this study have proven to be increasing the yield of a particular vegetable and so on. So example lang yan. So for introduction naman, um, the primary purpose of this is to frame the paper for its readers. So it should provide brief description ng topic, no? Like if you are going to study, like in the review paper that you're going to make, if the review paper is about food security, so you will tell what is the status in terms of food security or poverty in the world or in the country, and as to why the topic is worth researching or why it could be found interesting. So since we don't know the distribution of food. Like for example, like we have a lot of crops. I mean, there are a lot of crops that are untouched yet or not developed for food consumption or for value adding. But then because and then poverty arises, or poverty or hunger. So pwede nating i-make use ito using value adding to address food security and poverty and hunger. So mga something like that. And statement of the research objective. So this study is therefore conducted in order to help alleviate or to show that value adding can help, no, in the in providing food security. And then statement of the methods and the scope of the study, like this study will only, no, is only limited to particular area and so on. And then overview of the rest of the paper, like what so like this study was conducted for a duration of like this, and so many studies have conducted before. So anong bago sa study mo? So this study will present in us an update on this, for example. So that's the introduction. So for the literature review, I just have presented to you an example of a review paper. So although this is literature review, most of us, our common mistake is that we just copy and paste all the findings of previous studies. So literature review is not only like pasting or a compilation, no? It's not only a compilation, but also a general interpretation to what have been studied before. So what is the present state of the knowledge regarding the topic under consideration? So based on these authors, like you have more than 10 authors, no, or references that you have read. So what did they say about it, no? About the topic, like when your topic is about food security, how are the studies related to the one being proposed? Like for example, of course, if you're going to study food security or farming technologies, so yung studies or yung mga references authors mo should also be telling about food security and farming technologies. So what is the quality of the studies reviewed? No? So are they done extensively? So have they proven their studies now based on what is reality? And how will the proposed study contribute to the existing literature? And for example, if you're going to conduct a study, so this study will guide, no? Sometimes you say, this study will guide us through the conduct of the study, that it has been proven by literature. Many have reported that using foliar fertilizer application contributes to the growth and development and yield or quality of crops, for example, like that. So that's the literature review. For your methods, it will demonstrate that you are aware of the research methods, no? And that justify the research method and your approach. So although like sometimes we say, this is one thing na parang hindi clear sa sa research reports or research methods, kasi sometimes there are kanang authors, like when you publish na your paper, and then this will be referred to different reviewers, and there are a lot of reviewers that wants a very detailed na methods, no? And sometimes there are also authors that would say, this method doesn't need to be to be presented, kasi when you say, like for example in tissue culture, when you say M, um, MS Media, you don't need to say what is MS Media because it has been known for more than decades already, like the Murashigi and Skuog for media as tissue culture. No? So you don't need to specify in your methods the different components. You just mention using MS media, no? For example, like that. And to justify the research method and your approach you have taken on your studies. So, like you have also sometimes in the methods you use, especially for analysis and methods, you sometimes you mention the authors or the company or the organization where you have derived your methods of analysis. And to like the AOC, no? AOAC ata. To explain and justify the method of data collection and analysis. Sometimes we, especially sa mga land protection, sometimes they say that the method done by Fernandez 2020 was followed with modification. So sometimes may nakalagay na mga ganyan. So, and for the conclusion naman, the result and discussion should be the focus of this part. This will sum up your findings, highlight the significance of the outcomes, and outline any implication and recommendation indicated by the findings. So, ayun. I just want to show you again, back again um, to the to the research paper that I have told you, this one. So, yung conclusion ko dito, for example, no, for this review paper, root and tubercress are the best food security assurance for Samoa and the Pacific. Since if you don't know yet, the yams or yung ating gabi are actually the staple food in Samoa. Considering that 6 to 20% in the world and 3 to 14% in the South Pacific Islands are undernourished, while food deficit prevails and more products are imported, malnutrition and obesity still exist. So root crops such as taro, that's the gabi, cassava, for Fiji, sweet potato and yam, and in some other Pacific countries are main sources of energy and nutrients with 40 to 50% energy source. So these are excellent sources of fiber, calcium, irons, and vitamins. Root crops supply up to 24% of the energy requirement, 100% of vitamin C, and are help also functional foods and nutraceutical ingredients to prevent non-communicable chronic diseases and maintain good health. Processing foods like flour and baked products nutritionally made from natural indigenous ingredients to address food security health is a wise alternative. So that's an example of a conclusion from a review paper. So a conclusion from a research report or original research is also different, which I'm going to show you later. So next is for your conclusion, results will also sometimes be presented, no? Kaya ng binasa ko, which presents the findings of your research in an orderly manner using heading plan in your method or headings arising from patterns found in the research. And the discussion show your understanding of what your data suggests. So that's are all part of the conclusion. Now for the references, you list the alphabetically reference materials which have been cited in your review literature. So in referencing your paper, you need to contain all works cited in the text and should follow the a recognizable system. So we have actually different system which will be shown on the next slide. To appendices is also presenting relevant data such as letters to participants, organizations, questionnaires, surveys, and other relevant instruments that you develop for the purpose of the study. Now, example, reports or historical, just I have mentioned a while ago. So to start with, you choose a subject for a research paper or for a review paper. that interests you but from which you can still learn much, no? So sometimes we are too interested and we want to learn more. Not too broad, so be specific enough kasi pag broad, the broader, the more work that has to be done, no? And not too difficult, of which you can find materials from popular magazines or books or general readings. So, um, since this is just a review paper for a topic, sometimes kasi like for dissertation, mag-PhD ka na, it's more difficult kasi you have to find out a topic that has never done before. No? It's an original idea talaga. But for to make a review paper, you aim of making a paper na parang ang dami na nag-research kasi it's not good to make a review paper na wala pang nag-research ni kahit isa. No? Wala kang magagawang review paper. And mostly, like when you do a an efficacy trial by FPA, Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority. Of course, within the country in the Philippines, we cannot, most of the companies cannot distribute or sell products, chemicals or pesticides and fertilizer unless they are registered under FPA. And so it has not been done or used before when you conduct the experimental permit. So, but sometimes much have been used, no, kasi imported yung product, so ginamit na yan sa ibang countries, especially in US. And has some interest for the average reader. Hindi lang ikaw ang may interest, yung nakakatulong ka din sa iba, no? And observation or experience, no? You can make use like some like if wala pang na-publish, then you can even make share your own observation or experience, like what you did in your farm, or kung ikaw lang expert ka nandyan, so pwede kang magka ng personal communication, then you cite your own name, no? Or you go to Rosette Cacao, no? To Rosette and Mr. Rosette, and then you ask him about his expertise. So pwedeng through personal communication or interview, or you go to the library to search for published books and special bulletins and reports. Now it's good because you can internet and you can just Google all the references, no, and other publication from different countries. So another is, so these are the preliminary outline that you're going to make, no, the main idea, and like these are common outlines, no, like when you say introduction, then mga or introduction or chapter 1, chapter 2, pwede ring review of literature. Chapter 3 is methodology, something like that. So, may mga outline of ideas of topics ka na you should be needing in the information, no? And begin your reading with a few general articles which give overall survey and try to anticipate the important question your paper will have to answer. Jot down what seems to be the major division of the subject, just like what I have said. So this is an outline example, no? Like the origins of agriculture. So ang kanyang first chapter is agriculture compared to hunting gathering. So meron siyang advantages of agriculture, disadvantages, and which outlines the following. And identifying domestic case in archaeological record. So this is just an example. And use unrolled index, preferably 4 by 6 inches in size. So pwede ka mag-index paper. In one index paper, you cover only one subject on each card. This is for a college na research paper na, and write the subject on the left-hand corner and name the exact source. So, yun yung sinasabi ko kanina, no? When you do your literature review, you should also do the referencing at the same time. And then use the quotation if you want to include your paper, the author's exact wording. No? Kung anong sinulat ng author, yun talaga ang direct quotation. Isusulat mo. No more, no less. Now, for example, sometimes you can rephrase that, which will be discussed on the next slides. Then make most of your notes brief statement in your own words. No? Ito yung paraphrasing na. So, quoting means to repeat. No? So, kung yun ang exact word na sinabi ng author, kailangan mo siyang i-enclose ng quotes, no? Using quotation marks. So, these are parenthetical citation. Like he said that like for example, no, like you make a quote in agriculture, like agri farming is fun, so quoted yan according to Epson 2020. So keep quotes short, give only information needed to identify the source on your works cited page, and you don't need to cite information that is already a common knowledge, such as like the gravity or honesty is the best policy. You know, make it easier for the reader as well. And to show that an authority supports your point, to present position, argument, and to include especially moving historically significant language. So this is when you quote, when you have your interview and you want to quote what you have heard or what the author have said. And this is particularly presenting well-staged passage, no? Parang kakaiba yung sinabi niya and you want to quote it, and whose meaning would be lost or changed if i-paraphrase mo, parang ang hirap niya ulit i-paraphrase or make into your own words, no? So you have to summarize, so you have to quote it. So another point in writing is to be original and don't plagiarize, no? When you say plagiarism is passing of someone's work as your own, whether we do this deliberately or not, and not acknowledging when using information such as data, table, figures, or graphics from other writers. Like, search ka na lang ng search or from the books that you have read and from the photos from the internet. So gagamitin mo without even citing references, no, or citing the author or the site that you got your photo or your figures or data. Especially when you use ka ng mga data from the Philippine Statistics Authority, from the Department of Agriculture, and so on. And inadequately paraphrasing a source. Like for example, dahil sa pag-paraphrase mo, mali na tuloy yung, pag mahina ka sa sa English, mali na tuloy ang pagkasabi. So, the act of representing another's work or ideas as your own, no, parang you are stealing, or I have stolen other authors' work, no. So if you are called plagiarizer. And so it's not good, no. In fact, like films na like even films, no, na pirate nato, it's not good. So this also the same with plagiarism. So what is plagiarism compared to versus paraphrasing? So plagiarism, like from a direct quote from the research, Japan's beautiful Mount Fuji last erupted in 1707 and now is classified as dormant. And then you say, dormant volcanoes show no signs of activity, but they may erupt in the future. So these are example of the direct quote from research. And non-plagiarized paraphrase, na Mount Fuji, the highest mountain in Japan, is actually a dormant volcano. And dormant means that it is not active. the last time Mount Fuji erupted was in 1707, and there's always the possibility of future eruption. So, pinak gi-paraphrase niya, but it's not plagiarized. And this is, ito naman is the direct quote. Ito yung original na sinabi ng writer. So another direct quote, no, 3 weeks after Katrina, warnings of the arrival of Hurricane Rita sent residents of cities such as Houston, Texas, rushing to evacuate, fearing for their lives. Fortunately, Hurricane Rita turned out to be much less severe than Katrina. However, mass evacuation like this bring hazards of their own, as panicking drivers may cause accidents on the jam roads. So, to paraphrase this, could be presented as this. Shortly after Hurricane Katrina devastated the city of Houston, Texas, a warning for a new hurricane named Rita was broadcast, which caused many people to panic and flee the city. However, the mass departure of people leaving Houston at the same time could have caused many car accidents, even though the hurricane turned out to be not as dangerous as Katrina. So, iba na ang kanyang pagkasabi, but the meaning is still there. So, now, you use a consistent format, no? This will help your reader understand your arguments and the sources they build in, and allow readers to cross-reference your sources easily, and they are due for further research, provides consistent format, gives you credibility and reliability as a writer if you do formatting the correct way. So who the hell you bother, no? Why do you care? It demonstrates you have looked up the information to prove your points. Like why did you say that we are having poverty or hunger? Of course, because you have concluded from your research. So if you are a good researcher, then you must have um research not only the published one, but also you have interviewed the experts or the real, like you say that when you say that 50%, you say, no, it's a big claim, 50% of people in Mindanao are actually poor. So how can you say that? Did you had a survey, or did you use secondary data to do that, or whatever? So you cannot claim unless you have given correct, no, references. So how do you format your paper? So for we have a lot of format, no. In fact, these are just the most common three. But when you open your ano ba yung Edson, have you seen yung library na
Ma'am?
EBSCO na
Wala ba ya, ma'am?
amo man ang mura ganig ka ng ginabayaran sa school na library. Sa library, parang maka-research ka din mga different references. So, makita po din mo ang mga...
Ma'am, asa no address, ma'am?
Ako na siyang gi-send sa group chat, but i-send na ko sa same ha para i-try lang ko din mo click ang link, and then i-click po doon yung mga references nga naa dito.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Natay ginatawag na MLA or Modern Language Association format. So this is the official guide sa mga non-fiction writing widely adopted by schools, academic departments, and instructors. The APA format naman is the American Psychological Association. It's also an academic format commonly used to cite sources from the social sciences by scientific journals, including medical, public health, texts, and academia. And the ACM format, or the Association for Computer Machinery, is the largest and oldest international scientific and industrial computer society, where they publish their own journals and proceedings. So, madami na tayo. In fact, yung every journal, no, na imuhang i-visit na sila yung sariling format po, no? Or sometimes they use the APA, the MLA, or the ACM. So, some more. Ito yung mga kaibahan ng mga MLA, APA guidelines. So, sa, in fact, the type of paper, the paper margin. So, mostly ang ginagamit na nato is kaning pariharaman ni sila, no? Between MLA and APA. 12 point yung font, margins is 1 inches, both. But for MLA, they shortly use the the letter paper, not the size, or the short band paper. And the spacing is double talaga, no? Alignment is kanang even, right? The paragraph is 1/2 inches or 5 spaces or 5 to 7 spaces. And at the end of sentence, leave one space after a period. Same also with APA guidelines. And the page number is in the upper right margin sa taas, which is 1/2 inches from the top and flush with the right margin. But here in the APA guidelines, the upper right margin 1/2 inches from the top, no? Or 2, 3 words of the paper called running head. So, ito lang yung mga differences anyway, no? In terms of title, no, ito yung name, teacher's name, course number, or number date. But sa APA, paper title, your name, and your school. So, ang mahalaga lang is that in terms of section headings also, ang APA is very specific sa top level, second level, and so on. Pero usually, ito na yung ginagamit natin na nakikita natin mababasa na din. So, tables and illustrations. So, meron silang kaibahan, no? But the thing is that you only use one guideline. Like, if you use the MLA, so everything should be in MLA format. But if you use the APA guideline, you only use the APA guideline. Now, in your, so ito pa yung mga, sa APA guidelines, mostly APA yung ginagamit natin kasi meron tayong mga ganitong elements, order of intersection, and even binding, no? So for additional information, you can also search for this, no, MLA guidelines, APA guidelines. So writing your bibliography. So it's references or the list of sources you use to get information for your report. So as a rule of academic writing, students need to admit the truth when they use other people's ideas, views, data, information, written materials, audiovisual resources. So it's just also saying sometimes na pag mag-submit mo og ng research paper, inyo harag na itong kinopya kung katong naka-post or naka-publish, and then imo harang i-own niya imo ikaw nagsulat, no? So it usually happens, and you don't know that it's plagiarism, um, which is also a violation of the law. So when you use direct quotation or copied section, you should cite, no? It's simple as citing the source, and no bibliography too secret. So walang secret sa bibliography. So it intends to tell reader about accuracy, value, and relevancy of the sources that are cited. So, and they are also going to see if your references is like sometimes when you use the FAO or the Food and Agriculture Organization, so it's a reliable. We can say they are reliable. So can we also say that the Philippine Statistic Authority are reliable source? Yes, of course, it's the only agency or institute of the country na nagsusurvey, no, for statistics. So in terms of books naman, so magkaiba ang MLA format sa APA format, no? Like you say here, Allen Thomas B. Vanishing Wildlife of North America, Washington, D.C. National Geographic Society, 1974. Whereas in the APA format, you can see Allen, then comma, capital T, 1974, in close parentheses, then Vanishing Wildlife of North America. So ganito. So, iba-iba yung kanyang format between the two. So, if you choose this one, the APA format, you just use all throughout the study the APA format. In terms of encyclopedia, iba-iba din ang pagka-component. So, ito book kasi ito, so kailangan meron siyang publisher, no? Or date, place of publication, Washington, D.C. But for encyclopedia, it's just simply the publisher. No? And then year, and then page. But for the book, you don't have to state the page. Okay. For magazine naman and newspapers, you have to have the page, year publication, and then the page specifically. And APA and MLA format is very different. So another one is, so these are actually not the real logo now. Finish. So we are done. No, you did it for the whole. So I hope you had a glimpse of all the. So in fact, hindi pa nakalagay dito yung journals na references, no, in their format. But then when you go to a specific site for journal publication, meron din silang sariling format in referencing. So do you have any question regarding our topic? Ebson?
Wala, ma'am. Pero, sige lang, ma'am. Di yun ako makakuha ng mga, wala pa man good ko ka-experience yung buhat og research, ma'am. Wala pa po jud ko kakitaon sa akong pagbuhat, ma'am. Pero, sige lang, ma'am. Maningkamot ko na makabuhat ko, ma'am. Tapos, mangunta na lang ko sa imo, ma'am, pag dili na nako kaya. Pwede, ma'am.
Yes, sure. Anytime you can ask me questions. So, we are just done with our module 2, which is writing research, no? Proposal. And for the next topic, we're going to know the different protocols for an experimental research. So I guess that's all for the moment, no? And I hope to see you again next meeting. And for now, what you can do is that you find a review topic for a review paper, because that's the main requirement that you're going to do, no? So you mentioned last time, I remember, na you are more interested sa kanang farming technology ba to?
Yes, ma'am.
So i-search, i-google na nimo review on farming technology. So I'm sure daghan kayo na siya. So napagani na siya.
Nakoy libro ana, ma'am. Nakoy libro kay last semester, ma'am, nagkuan man mi dito sa Tisdawa